Letter 14. A Woman Alone. Dear Lady Mary, I wrote to you in the last letter about women, but I feel I need to say a few more things, specifically about being a foreign woman in Turkey, especially one who travels alone. I feel an affinity with you, Lady Mary, for even at centuries distant, our visions of womanhood are very similar. I, like you, am strenuously self-educated. I am interested in the same things you are, visiting mosques and ancient monuments, landscapes, buildings, social life, history, women's dress, religion, marriage and divorce, feminism, and poetry. I want to understand the place and status of women in the world they live in. I, too, have studied the Turkish language and poetry. I have become interested in social life and in Islam, and have been brought to question my own religion by looking at another. We both were able to gain insight into various issues because we were outsiders of a certain social standing. I, too, am sad to leave Constantinople, just as you were. Yet our most common point is that we both know what it is like to be in Turkish society as single women without our husbands. Your husband stayed in a Turkish army camp near Adrianople from September 1717 to May 1718, where he was involved in diplomatic negotiations, obliging you to remain alone in Constantinople for some 10 months, practically the entire time you were in Istanbul. I am without my husband because I choose to travel alone. That a woman would choose to travel alone is a difficult concept for Turks to understand or accept. Since women are taught at a very early age to follow the leadership of men, father, brothers, husband, it is hard to find an unchaperoned woman. Islamic tradition states that no woman should travel for more than 3 days unless her husband or an appropriate male family member accompanies her. Once in a bus near Kongal, a very modern young lady sat next to me, and we started talking. Despite her trendy orange shoes, she was scandalized that I was traveling alone, and maintained that it was impossible for me to do so, for that is just not done. I have spoken to you before about the cohesiveness and collective nature of this society, and how the Turks live in a tight community. I think that this makes it difficult for them to understand the difference between being alone and being lonely, and that it is totally possible to be alone and certainly not lonely. What we Westerners view as admirable independence is considered by Turks to be loneliness. Like me, I sense that you knew the difference between the two, and had an appreciation and a preference for solitude and privacy, combined with an equal appreciation of good company and entertainment. Despite the sideways glances I get on the road, I persist in traveling alone in Turkey. I have spoken to you earlier about the joys of travel, but traveling alone offers a whole other level of happiness. It allows me to do things I could never do if I were in the company of others. I can visit libraries when I want. It affords me the solitude to write 350 words a day. It allows me to eat what and where I want. Another reason I travel by myself is to garner strength and to show myself that I am self-reliant, courageous, resourceful, and don't need others to take care of me. These trips make me feel strong, so that when I return, I can pass on this strength to others. If I can survive the linguistic, social, religious, and cultural challenges of Turkey, then my challenging work and life in a city of vast ethnic diversity becomes much more manageable. Another reason I travel alone is that, quite simply, I have experiences I would never have if I were traveling with a man or in a group. In Turkey, a woman alone is showered with all kinds of attention and kindness, for Turks just do not want you to feel alone. Meetings, conversations, and offers of roses or glasses of tea just do not happen when you are with a man. The best part of traveling alone is that it is possible to do so, for Turkey is a very safe country. I never feel afraid in Turkey. My fate is entrusted to the good care of the 72 million pairs of hands at my service. I am a lady here, remember, and am always treated with the highest respect and consideration. All the stories you hear about Turks being inconsiderate to women are fallacious. Of course, a woman traveling alone must exert caution, as anywhere. You learn to select your restaurants with care. You must stick with hotel restaurants if there is one. Go early, and never drink alcohol, which sends out a message about a potential dubious moral standing. You don't initiate conversations. You don't boldly ask questions. You don't look men in the eyes directly. You don't go around showing too much flesh. In 30 years of travel in Turkey, I have never once been shown any disrespect by a man, or felt in any type of difficult situation. Something I certainly cannot say when I travel to other countries, even my own. For you see, those famous Turkish eyes are always upon you, looking out for your safety. You are on their communal radar screen. One of the simplest radar incidents I experienced was also one of the richest, for it resumed the Turkish social traits of cohesiveness, sisterhood, hospitality, and tender acts of kindness. I went into the Kayseri Hatuniya Madrasa to visit the tomb in the corner, and after coming out, decided to stop for some water at the little cafe that was set up in the courtyard. I was there for about 5 minutes when a woman came up to me and said, "Hello, excuse me. My friend and I were wondering if you would like to come over and join us at our table since you are all alone." She didn't know me, but she just did not want me to be lonely. Once, on a village jitney bus, a woman placed her baby in my lap for the duration of the trip. It was not that she wanted a break from holding him, but rather she gave him to me so that I would have some company. Another time, while eating alone in a eardeer, a handsome middle-aged couple passed by my table on the way to theirs, and the man gave me the most gentlemanly bow and said, "I hope you will enjoy your meal. If you need anything, we will be sitting at the next table." A woman alone leaves a mark in people's memories. Last year in Kayseri, I treated myself to one of the best Eskandar kebabs in Turkey, in the Eskandar Lokantası, in the center of town. I had eaten one there over 20 years ago and had never forgotten it. On that day, the head waiter kept circling me, intrigued. He finally came up to me and said, "You have been here before, right? I remember you. How are you?" I thought that he either had an astounding memory or that my distinctive look stood out. But no, it was neither. It was just the fact that a woman alone is such a rare oddity that someone would remember it 20 years later. I have had the exact experience repeated in a restaurant in Konya, 15 years for that one, and in Erzurum, where a carpet dealer ran after me down the street, not only remembering me from my visit to his shop 12 years prior, but also the type and price of the rug I purchased. There is another issue with being alone, one that you felt too, Lady Mary. A woman alone means a woman without children. You also express in several of your letters your frustration with the obsession of Turks for children, and how being childless is a grievous taboo. Turkish women are still defined by the number of children they have. This is the second most frequent question you are asked, the first one being, "Are you married?" You discuss in at least 6 letters the multiple childbearing habits of Turkish women, the importance of bearing children for social status, and the plight of the poor woman who is unmarried and childless. As I have said previously, Turkish families just love children, the flowers of their personal gardens. You lived motherhood in Turkey in a very direct way, Lady Mary. You were pregnant for much of the time you were in Turkey, giving birth to your little Mary on January 19th, 1718, noting, "People looked at me with a great air of contempt until I finally complied with the fashion, and I lay in like the others." A childless woman is still made to feel a little pitied, even today, Lady Mary. But I have every confidence that Turks will come to understand that there are many ways to create a home and hearth. The Mother Goddess can take many other forms. such as curator for a larger family, the one of society as a whole. Being alone or childless does not mean you have not chosen to share your life with another person. The question of marriage, a la Turja, seems to preoccupy you as well in your letters. These letters establish you as a feminist who sought, even in a different culture, to understand the complex issues of a woman's place in society and her role as mother and wife. You support the feminist ideals of independence, a life not defined by marriage and children, self-respect, social, political, and economical equality, choices in life, fairness to men, equal opportunities, condemnation of those who support oppression, and an elimination of hierarchy. These are issues that women in the West and in Turkey deal with every day, still seeking the place where they can acquire marketable skills, where the stigma of living alone is removed, where their existence is not defined by their relationship to the home, where they can be in charge of their choices and future. On the subject of marriage, Lady Montague, there is one man who is singularly absent in your letters, your husband. You never mention him in your letters to your friends, give news of his health, or of the advancement of his negotiations. Your letters to him are few and far between, and when you do write him, it is in a dry and loveless tone that is startlingly different from the vibrant one you use in the steady stream of impression-packed correspondence with your other friends. Whatever the reason, something had definitely gone wrong in your marriage, and it would appear that he ceased to matter to you. You were a woman truly alone in Turkey. Upon your return to England, a new era opened in your life, and in this phase, men played an important role. Your writer friends, your son, your business partners, your husband, and your lovers decidedly oriented the direction of your life. But that will be your story to tell, and tell it you did in the many letters you continued to write from abroad, where you chose to spend the rest of your life. Yes, you chose to be a woman alone, without your husband or your children, yet never lonely, as your pen and paper became your most generous and loving companions. Sincerely, Catherine Branning.